Hi, my name is Tracy and I'm going to be presenting a case study of the Nana's berry contamination crisis. In mid-February 2015, 12 people, 5 in Queensland, 3 in Victoria and 4 in New South Wales, became sick with hepatitis A after eating Nana's frozen mixed berries. Despite people getting sick, Paddy's managing director Steve Shaw stated, "There are still no facts. We're working very hard with the health department to actually prove that there's actually a direct link of hepatitis A with these berries." But they did contain hepatitis a virus that causes an inflammation of the liver and is often transmitted via contamination with human feces. In the end, over 30 people were said to have contracted this virus from the contaminated berries. What action was taken? Paddy's issued a voluntary recall, but was slow to act and failed to take the growing public concern into account. Steve Shaw himself admits to slowness in their crisis management. But the biggest mistake that Paddy's made was not addressing the people. On Friday the 14th of February, there were 365 shares of Nana's post about the product recall and 86 replies, only one of which was from Paddy's. By the next day, they'd had 5,701 shares and 1,363 comments. The people were desperate for information, for reassurance, for sympathy, but Paddy's offered none. Unfortunately, according to Coombs, this situation was an internal controllable crisis, which comes with the highest degree of responsibility, a responsibility that Paddy's did not take seriously enough. To this day, the company still denies that it was their berries that was the actual cause. According to Coombs, there are 4 postures which a company can take during a crisis. They are denial, diminishment, rebuilding, and bolstering. The best posture a company can take for its reputation is that of rebuilding, offering compensation and an apology, and bolstering, reminding stakeholders of their past good deeds, praising the stakeholders, and explaining how they too were the victim. Unfortunately, Paddy's assumed the denial posture. This means that they denied the fault was theirs, they blamed others, and they never took full responsibility of the issue. This may have saved them some money short term, but it was the biggest contributing factor to their poor public image and ultimate failure in the public's eyes. As we've learnt in our I lectures, good crisis management is about PPRR: prevention, preparation, response, and recovery. First, we'll look at prevention. Paddy's failed in their prevention of this issue, which could have been addressed with simple product testing. After all, problems, even potential ones, left unaddressed tend to increase in seriousness and risk. Next, we'll look at preparation. They should have had a clear protocol for what to do in the event of a viral outbreak, considering that they were sourcing their berries from China and Chile, 2 countries with unfortunately low health standards. But I must assume that they were underprepared for the crisis that unfolded because of the poor way in which it was handled. The third part of our PPRR is response. A quick, effective response would have been easy with the right preparation, but would still have been possible without it. They needed to address the concerns of the people immediately and communicated the problem on every available platform. The internet was on fire with comments from concerned consumers. A little communication with them would have eased their worries. The final section of our crisis management is recovery. With such a devastating PR campaign, Paddy's has struggled over the years to recover from this crisis. After the recall, the company went from $16.7 million profit a year to just $2.1 million. The damage to their reputation was so bad that they sold the frozen berry portion of their business. There is still a law action pending against Paddy's, with Slater & Gordon representing over 20 clients. Recovery could have been a simple process had the crisis been handled effectively from the beginning. According to Tony Jacques, author of Issue and Crisis Management, effective crisis communication should consist of the following. Firstly, it should briefly state the facts as currently known. Don't speculate and don't guess, but recognize that you need to address perceptions as well as what actually happened. Second, you need to apologize. To be effective, any apology must be swift and sincere. Apologies that are only grudging or reluctant, or are really non-apologies, can be worse than no apology at all. Third, express sympathy. Those affected by a crisis not only need to hear that you are sorry for the crisis, but that you are also sorry for how it has affected them personally. Number 4 is express empathy. You need to show those affected that you know how they feel. Crises are about feelings as well as facts. Demonstrating empathy shows you are human, not just a brand or organizational figurehead. And finally, focus on actions. Describe what actions you have already taken and what actions you plan to take to deal with the problem and prevent it happening again. So, if we are to compare Tony Jacques' list of effective communication criteria with what Paddy's did during their crisis, we will see a vast difference. Firstly, Paddy's did successfully address the basic facts of the situation, albeit far too slowly. Secondly, Paddy's did not apologize for the mishap. Thirdly, they did seem to express sympathy, which is something at least. Fourth, there was a clear lack of empathy on the part of Paddy's. Had they truly empathized with the victims, they would have apologized. And 5, Paddy's did state that they were recalling their suspect products. But was that enough of a focus on actions? They never stated a future action to ensure that no further contamination would happen, or action to make amends to those who had suffered. In the end, Paddy's remains a good case study for bad crisis management. They failed to accept responsibility and failed to communicate with their consumers about a problem that was ultimately their fault. The essential PPRR of good crisis management was clearly not present. Problems often cannot be avoided. However, with good crisis management techniques in place, it could have saved their reputation.